The fire alarm shattered the quiet elegance of the Grand Azure Hotel at exactly 2:17 a.m., slicing through the marble halls like a scream. Smoke poured from the 15th floor faster than anyone could run. Guests stumbled from their rooms half awake, barefoot, some crying, some frozen in shock. But in one room at the end of the burning corridor, a 6-year-old boy sat alone on the carpet clutching a toy dinosaur, waiting for someone who was never coming back. Down in the staff corridor, Anya Rivera was changing linens when the alarm blared. A maid for nearly 7 years, she had seen false alarms before. But this time, she smelled it. The thick, bitter scent of real smoke. Before the managers could issue orders, she was already running toward the elevators and then veering for the stairwell when she saw the red warning lights flash. The elevators shut down immediately. Most people turned back. Anya didn't. She climbed 15 floors through darkness, coughing, her shoes slick with water from the sprinklers. On the 10th floor, she heard someone screaming for a child who had gone quiet. On the 13th, a ceiling panel exploded in sparks, forcing her to crawl the rest of the way. Every instinct told her to turn back. Every memory of her own younger brother lost in a fire 15 years ago pushed her forward. At the end of the corridor, flames licked the curtains of room 1508. Anya kicked the door again and again until the lock broke. Inside, smoke swallowed the ceiling. Visibility was nearly gone. She dropped to her hands and knees, calling out blindly. Then she heard soft coughing. She followed the sound and found the boy under the bed, shaking violently, his face streaked with soot and tears. He did not scream when she pulled him out. He simply clung to her neck like he understood this was his last chance. Anya wrapped him in her cleaning towel, lifted him into her arms, and turned back into the fire. The stairwell had partially collapsed. Heat scorched her arms. Her lungs felt like they were filling with flames. Halfway down, her foot gave out on a broken step. She fell forward and shielded the boy with her body. For a terrifying moment, neither of them moved. Then the boy whispered, "Are you my mom now?" She found strength she didn't know she had. She stood again and carried him the rest of the way. They collapsed at the exit as firefighters rushed them into the night air. Anya lost consciousness with the boy still wrapped in her arms. 3 hours earlier, in that same room, the boy's father had been arguing with his fiancée. Julian Cross, one of the youngest tech CEOs in the country, had stepped out with her after she insisted she needed fresh air. Their son, Leo, had been asleep. Or so they thought. When the fire erupted, Julian tried to rush back into the building. His fiancée, Vanessa, pulled him back as flames burst from the windows. She begged him not to go in. She screamed that the boy was probably already gone and that his life, their future, couldn't be thrown away over hope. Julian heard her words but broke free anyway. He arrived at the scene as the boy was being loaded into the ambulance, alive. Vanessa stood silently as Julian ran to the doors screaming his son's name. When a firefighter told him the boy was safe, carried out by a hotel maid, Julian dropped to his knees in the soaked pavement and sobbed. Vanessa left that night without a word. Leo survived with minor smoke damage. Anya survived with second-degree burns on her arms and months of respiratory treatment. When Julian learned who had saved his son, he went to see her in the public hospital where she lay surrounded by beeping machines and peeling paint. He expected a hero. He found a quiet woman terrified she had done something wrong by breaking hotel rules. He thanked her until words failed. Then he did something even more shocking. He asked to sit with her while she slept, just to be near the person who had brought his son back to him. When Anya was discharged, her life didn't magically improve. The hotel placed her on unpaid medical leave. The compensation checks came slowly. But Leo came often, bringing drawings of dinosaurs wearing capes. Julian came too, uncomfortable at first, unsure how to talk to someone outside his boardrooms and deal rooms. Grief bridges strange worlds. Months passed. Julian fought ruthless custody negotiations when Vanessa demanded a financial settlement after leaving. His company faced public outrage when the story leaked and questions arose about why the fiancée had left a child behind. Investors panicked. His image suffered. But Julian barely noticed. His priority had narrowed to one thing: his son. Anya fought her own battles. Pain that returned at night. Fear that someday another fire would take something else from her. Depression she buried behind forced smiles. But Leo climbed into her broken little apartment after school and told her stories until the silence stopped hurting so much. One evening during a storm, the power went out in Anya's building. Thunder triggered Leo's memory of the fire. He panicked and ran into Anya's arms shaking. She sang to calm him. Julian watched from the doorway with tears in his eyes, realizing the woman who had saved his son once had quietly kept saving him every day since. The lawsuits ended. Vanessa vanished from their lives. The company stabilized. But something else shifted more deeply. Julian stopped measuring his worth by numbers and press coverage. He began measuring it by who showed up when the power went out. He offered Anya a job in company operations. She refused. She didn't trust polished promises anymore. So Julian did something else. He funded a full education program in her name for hotel workers and service staff. He ensured her family was secure. He never asked for anything in return. Only that she stay in Leo's life if she wished. She chose to stay. Years passed. Leo grew taller. Anya's scars faded but never disappeared. They reminded her every morning why courage mattered. At Leo's school graduation, he gave his speech and pointed to the audience where Anya sat beside his father. He told everyone the first hero he ever met wasn't rich, wasn't famous, and didn't hesitate when the stairs were on fire. By the time the crowd rose in applause, Julian realized something simple and final. The woman who had saved his son had saved him too. Not from fire, but from becoming the kind of man who would ever leave a child behind.